that our colleagues who are not able to join us today have access to all of this great information. We have a couple of other folks joining us. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Susan Titterton to get us
Great.
started.
Let me get the slides going and then I'll start talking. There we go. Hi, everyone. I am Susan Titterton. I've been the project coordinator for early childhood education as a profession since, oh gosh, 2018, 2019, something like that. And I'm really glad to be here today. My job is to do just a little bit of introduction and set up some context before I hand it over to Sarah. And here's who we are. So this webinar is a follow-up to our November and December roundtable updates. We actually did 4 of those, 2 for family childcare and 2 for center-based folks, and we had a bunch of other people join us as well, which was great. And in those updates, we shared our recommendations for phased-in implementation of early childhood education as a recognized profession. We included a draft timeline. We had been asked for that, and we were also ourselves trying to think about what might a timeline look like. And we included some of the transitional provisions that we've been recommending. Basically, the other word for that would be a bridge for current workforce to become individually licensed as this new profession gets stood up. So in the updates and through a follow-up survey, we asked participants what supports and resources they would most likely use and whether there were others that didn't exist that they thought might be worth exploring. And one of the strongest themes we got in those roundtables was, please continue to provide us with clear information, particularly so we know what's available and we can more easily navigate these resources. So that's what today's about. And I'm going to share with you just a few quick slides to kind of set some context for that. This first one, if you were at the roundtable updates, you may remember. And what it portrays is kind of our journey. If you look at the left-hand part of the slide, that's all the work that was done with the unifying framework for the early childhood education profession, taking it out piece by piece to different groups in Vermont. We really did extensive outreach so that this would be a workforce-led process. That took us to, if you look in the center, the ECE Profession recommendations. We wrote a sunrise review application to the Office of Professional Regulation, which is how professions get recognized in the state. And they have been busily working on that and doing some wonderful research and taking testimony. We know now that their report was just released last Friday and that their recommendations do very much align with what we had put in our Sunrise Review proposal. So that's exciting, and it's something that is available for you to read. And of course, now that goes to the legislature, where a bill will be generated, perhaps deliberated. We don't know what will happen and what changes may happen along the way. We'll be tracking that closely. This is one of the graphics that came out of the unifying framework, Empower to the Profession. I just think it's a really timely one for us to be thinking about right now. If you look at that green circle, you can think about Act 76 as really increasing public financing to early care and education. And now we're talking about professional accountability, which is this whole idea of individual licensure and being recognized as a profession. And of course, supports and resources have to be there for all of this to work. So that's really the focus of today. It's kind of a way of bringing all these 3 parts of this model together. Just want to remind you that I know this is familiar to most of you, the direction that we're headed in is the idea of one profession with 3 designations. You can see each of the designations across the center, each with its own scope of practice and the educational requirements. These are things that would be in place for the future workforce, and also there needs to be a transition for the current workforce. And so, whoops, I went the wrong way. And so this is the kind of thing that people in the current workforce are thinking about right now. Where am I now? What are my credentials? What's my scope of practice? Where do I want to be? What ECE designation is going to be the best fit for me? What are my options? What might the timeline look like? And what supports and resources might I need? So with that context being set, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. And Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself? I think you'll do a better job of it than I will, and then I'll advance your slides.
I'm sure you would have done a fine job. Thank you, Susan. Nice to be here with you all. My name is Sarah Gagne. I am the Workforce Development Manager at Vermont AEYC. I've been with the organization a little over a year now and in the field of early childhood education for coming up on 20 years. So the advocacy for this work is near and dear to my heart, as it is to all of us, and I'm excited to be here with you today. So before we get moving, I have a couple of questions for you to just kind of take a pulse on who we have here with us today and kind of where we're all feeling, and we'll reevaluate this at the end of the presentation too. But I was going to have you raise your hand. I can't see all of you with the PowerPoint up, so feel free to put.
I can take that down. Hang on.
That's okay. I think, yeah, perfect. So if you're currently experiencing yourself or aware of someone who is, I apologize, I was reading that question, so now I'm just gonna. No,
I'll read it for you, Terry.
You're totally fine.
Are you aware of someone who is currently managing daily programming challenges due to lack of staff or fully qualified staff?
I'm aware of several. Absolutely. So if you're not on screen, feel free to put anything in the chat that really is top of mind for you. We love to hear your stories. We love to be able to take those and share them along our paths as well. But needless to say, we're all in that journey right now where we're struggling with recruitment and retention of qualified staff. And at Vermont AEYC, we want to make sure you are aware of all of the supports and resources to help alleviate that challenge as much as possible. So if you'd like, there's a QR code on the bottom of this screen that'll take you to our website. If you're if you're like me and you like to follow along and you have multiple screens or just want to bookmark this for later so that you have easy access to the website, feel free to do that before we move on. And then while you get that going, I think we have a poll for you too that we're going to put up for you to answer so we can collect a little bit of data from the field through this presentation as well. So in regards to barriers to career advancement, what barriers do you or your colleagues face when working toward career advancement goals? And you can select all that apply. Just take a quick 30 seconds to click through there, any or all that may apply to challenges you're experiencing right now.
Sarah, are you able to see those results as they come in?
I'm not. I also participated in the poll, so.
So we're still getting some answers here, but it looks like time commitment is a huge barrier, followed by financial ability, not sure, not knowing what steps to take or where to get started. And then access is a lower barrier, but also getting some answers there. And a few folks, 3 participants saying there are some other challenges.
Understandable. Thank you, Beth. All right, Susan, let's move on. I appreciate you all sharing that information. That helps me. Oh, there's our poll results. Thank you. Time commitment, that is huge, 92% of us. All right, so as I go through the resources that we have available today, there are a lot of them, so I'm going to move fairly quickly so we have time for them all this afternoon. And as we go through, if you are thinking about questions, throw them in the chat. If we have time at the end, we'll go back through those and can revisit anything in particular. But I will highlight some of these programs that speak directly to things like time commitment and financial barriers. Some of the programs that we'll talk about are the Student Loan Repayment Assistance Program, a variety of professional development grants and bonuses, the Teach Early Childhood Vermont Scholarship Program, and access to Vermont Early Childhood networks and membership benefits through Vermont AEYC and our national affiliate, the National Association for the Education of Young Children. We'll also talk a little bit about resources available through our partner organizations, such as First Children's Finance and our Northern Lights friends. All right, Susan. All right, so to get us started, if you are following along, this is our homepage at the Vermont AEYC website. And I've highlighted that middle tab for early childhood educators. That's where we're going to live today. If you hover over that, it will bring up all of the different content areas that we're going to talk about today. All right, Susan. All right, we're going to start with the Student Loan Repayment Assistance Program. This program is for those of us who may have debt accrued from prior higher learning commitments. And this program is to support early childhood educators working in the field who meet a $60,000 annual salary cap. So if your annual salary is less than $60,000 and you're currently working in a registered Vermont child care program, you're eligible for up to $4,000 annually to reduce the student debt. You must commit to working an additional 12 months in the field in a regulated program in order to have those payments dispersed to you. Applications are accepted year-round and awards are given on a first-come, first-served basis. So we do recommend applying as soon as possible to receive maximum award benefits. Go ahead. Website. You'll see some eligibility criteria regarding employment, salary, degree, and other qualifications that must be met in order to qualify for this student loan repayment program. On the website, there are hyperlinks to detail out all of those requirements. There's a video on how to apply and a direct link to submit your application. There's also a list of frequently asked questions. So if you have any of those, feel free to check and see if others have had them in the past as well. And if not, you're more than welcome to reach out to us at info@vermontaeyc.org and we'll get your question to the right person. Moving along to professional development grants and bonuses. There is a lot on this page of our website. We have everything from CDA assessment fee grants, which will cover the cost of your CDA assessment. We have a college tuition grant that is $1,000 that's available every semester, spring, summer, and fall semester, to cover the cost of just college tuition. So it won't cover fees, books, access stipends, things like that, but it will get the majority of your tuition covered. There are requirements to be eligible for this grant as well, including a specific number of hours being currently working in a registered program, and either ineligibility or not enough funding received from FAFSA or VSAC, other funding sources. There is also a GED assessment fee grant and a peer review assessment fee grant that are lesser used, and I believe that peer review assessment fee has been waived currently, so that one is not needed, but the information is on the website. All right. We also have an education gap grant that's been funded by a generous anonymous donor. And this is available to support students with any financial barriers accessing higher education that are not met through other funding avenues, whether it's grants, scholarships, FAFSA, VSAC, our college tuition grant, which can be stacked alongside this GAP grant. And it's $1,000 annually to address any financial barrier to continuing higher education. Applicants must be working in a regulated center. I have seen this grant used for the purchase of a laptop or potentially a bus pass or Wi-Fi access. So anything you can think outside the box on this one that might be putting a barrier between your staff, yourself, and getting through school and being successful at completing your schoolwork. It's really difficult to submit homework on a phone. So being able to access internet service on your own personal laptop is just one of the many ways that this GAP grant can be used. Early childhood professional recognition bonuses. Most of you, I'm sure, are aware of the career ladder through Northern Lights. And so this is a program in coordination with that group at Northern Lights. So as you are navigating your career pathway and reaching higher levels on the career ladder, you're submitting an application to Northern Lights to receive that next level on the career ladder. Once they have approved your credential level, they're sending it on to us at Vermont AEYC, and we are administering the bonuses that are associated with each of those credential levels. So as of October 1st, the CDD recently increased those bonus amounts. So for a level 1, we went from a $100 bonus to $300, and each level, each tier of that career ladder is eligible for the next level of bonuses. So depending on where you're at right now in your career pathway, if you have not yet applied for a career ladder credential, highly encourage you to do that when we talk about making a bridge for our current workforce into potential ECE 1, 2, and 3 licenses in the future. Being able to connect that to existing credentialing systems. So making sure that you have your career ladder credential in place as early as possible is going to benefit you in the future in making that transition. A couple of changes to these bonuses that have come about in the last couple of months from the CDD. One was that there used to be a 2-year requirement on when you received the education piece for being eligible for a career ladder level. I've got lots of tongue twisters in here today. And that 2-year requirement has gone away. So you may have staff or you yourself may have received an associate's or bachelor's degree 5 or 10 or more years prior and weren't able to receive a bonus for having that level of education in the past. That has gone away. So that's now something that you can still apply for that bonus, for that career ladder level and receive a bonus. So a further incentive for you to get that into your BFIS account. The other change that has been made is the 6 months in between applying for the next level. So if you are currently at a level 1 and working towards your level 2 and you're so close to finishing your CDA, and that's going to happen within 6 months from now, you can still apply for level 1 now, and once you receive your CDA, go back, fill out that application again, be awarded the level 2 credential, and receive the next tiered bonus. All right, Susan, spend more time on this one because it's the most exciting when you got to award some of those financial pieces that are yours to keep and can be used without restriction. So that financial piece that may make it difficult for accessing the supports you need, this is a great way to incentivize current educators to get their certificate level updated and utilize those funds in the way that you see fit. So again, step 1, apply for your credential through Northern Lights. And step 2, receive your bonus. There is a little bit of a processing time in order for Northern Lights to get your application processed, do their background research, confirm any of the details that they need to, make that recommendation, pass it on to us, have us do all of our administrative work on a monthly cycle, and then issue those bonus payments. And then it goes through that whole financial direct deposit routing time. So we do say 4 to 8 weeks in general for receiving bonus payments from when we receive it from Northern Lights. So from the time that you submit your application, it could be 2 to 3 months before that bonus payment is in your pocket. So we do recommend just getting started as soon as you can. Look at the Northern Lights website. They've got applications in fillable Word docs, PDF, and available for printing, filling out by hand, scanning or emailing or mailing it back to them. So making it as accessible as possible for you to get that in. Our resource advisors at Northern Lights are very helpful, super valuable in helping to guide you through filling that application out, figuring out what level you are at and what you might need to reach the next level. So if you have questions for them, you can look at their Contact Us page on their website. All right. All right, we're going to move on to another tab under that early childhood educator tab on our website for the Teach Early Childhood Vermont Scholarship Program. This is a comprehensive scholarship program that provides early childhood educators access to debt-free educational opportunities. And this is one of our strongest programs that's helping us to establish our audacious vision of an effective, diverse, well-prepared, and well-compensated workforce here in Vermont. All right. There are 5 components of our Teach Scholarship. It is a comprehensive scholarship, meaning that it covers 100% of tuition and book fees. It provides a per semester stipend to help with the cost of attending classes. And your sponsoring childcare program is required to give you paid release time to either attend class, to study, or to attend to personal needs that you may not be able to because of time spent in class. It provides the college education. You're earning college credit toward a degree or licensure in ECE. It incorporates compensation. So once you've completed your Teach contract, you're receiving a raise or a bonus from your sponsoring program. It incorporates commitment on your end. So you're agreeing to continue working at your current program for at least an additional year following the completion of your contract. And it incorporates counseling. So you're receiving one-on-one support from a Teach counselor who, in addition to the mentor that you have in your program, you have a one-on-one support counselor who's there to help you navigate that college process, from choosing courses, getting enrolled, filling out your scholarship paperwork, and the reporting requirements that we need to reimburse you for books and fees and things like that. Okay. Teach has 4 scholarship models: the apprenticeship model, which is a nationally recognized registered apprenticeship program, associate degree and bachelor's degree model, and also a licensure model, which can sound a little confusing at this time as we talk about the future of licensure for early childhood educators. But this Teach licensure model is specific to licensure through the Agency of Education. Teach is currently reviewing and evaluating the models that they offer for their scholarship. And as more information develops and comes to light about early childhood licensure, and the potential for those ECE 1, 2, and 3 designations, you may see in the future some shifts to that model. These are hyperlinked on the website as well. If you're on that page, you can click each one of those to take you to more information about each scholarship model. Thanks, Susan. The first one that I do want to highlight, though, because it works as both a recruitment and a retention strategy for our educators and our center directors and owners, is our registered apprenticeship program. This is a collaboration between Vermont AEYC and the Vermont Department of Labor for early childhood educators seeking both education and experience in the field. If you're an employer and you're interested in supporting an apprentice team, we can help you match an apprentice with a qualified mentor and get them in your program. Apprentices build competencies and skills through supervised on-the-job training. They complete a specific sequence of 6 to 7 stackable college courses and participate in additional community of practice trainings to help them gain the knowledge and skills they need to work more effectively in their classroom. Apprenticeships, or the apprentices themselves, come from a variety of backgrounds and are typically newer individuals to the field, or those who may not have had formal education yet in early childhood education. Apprentices must commit to fully participating in the training program, and there are as many benefits to the program as there are requirements. So those are all listed on the website. I encourage you to read through those. When I talk about both recruitment and retention strategy, the retention piece really comes in when we talk about the mentors in the program. So not only are you bringing in a new employee into your program who is learning from the leaders that already exist in your program, but it's providing an opportunity for a seasoned staff member in your program to act as a mentor, to receive additional advanced professional development opportunities, to participate in a community of practice with other leaders in the field, and to share their expertise and their knowledge with a new educator coming into the field. So it really is a retention strategy for those mentors as much as it is a recruitment strategy for your new employees. On that Teach website, there are more details that you can read about in terms of application deadlines. They happen 3 times a year, and that application for summer will come out in March with an April 15th deadline, and then we'll open up again in June with a July 15th deadline for that fall term. Again, lots of hyperlinks that will take you to a college resource directory that will talk about FAFSA, VSAC, all of the other documentation that you need to submit your application so you can be well prepared before logging in to complete that application. Because I can tell you from spending a little bit of time with our career advancement and our Teach team, working with them in our database portal, it's not a one and done application. You will spend a little bit of time making sure you gather all of those documents. So encourage you to read through those, and then there are direct links to help you get into that portal and apply today. One of the programs that our career advancement team administers, in addition to the Teach program, is the Vermont ECE Youth Apprenticeship Program. And this is a precursor to that registered apprenticeship program and works with juniors and seniors in high school at career and tech centers across the state. So while they're earning their high school diploma, they're also getting paid work experience under the guidance of an experienced early childhood educator. Again, that mentor that's already there in your program. And the high school student is earning transferable, stackable credits at no cost to them. So when they're graduating high school, one of my colleagues from our career advancement team and I did a presentation this morning at a tech center and met with a group of juniors who, by the time they graduate, will have those 6 to 7 college credits already completed. They'll already be at that step 1 or 2 on the early childhood credential career ladder process. So these students are super excited. They are highly engaged. They are ready to enter the field and are looking for sponsoring programs to welcome them in. So if that is a program that you would be interested in either sponsoring a youth apprentice or have a high schooler who works in your program, that information is on this slide to contact that team at pre-apprenticeship at vermontaeyc.org, or you can give them a call as well and talk to them about it. I know they will be opening up their application process for the fall of 2025 a little bit earlier this year because of the high demand of this program. It is currently full right now, and she has about a dozen on the waiting list. So it's a highly sought after program. It's working really well, and the bigger it grows, the more funding they're able to advocate for. So reach out to them if that's a program that might be beneficial for you. All right, I also wanted to just make a note of a few programs that may not be directly in line with advancing your career, but are available through Vermont AEYC and do indirectly support that as well. So our Sparks team is a wonderful group of coaches who are working across the state to meet with your program staff, directors, and provide comprehensive support through self-directed program resources, through professional development, training, and updates, through one-on-one coaching and mentoring. They do class assessments. They do STARS application reviews and will help work with you through specific domain professional development that your staff may be interested in. And all of those links are on the website to meet the team and complete an intake form that would request your first coaching visit if you're not connected with a QSS already. Moving on. All right, Vermont Early Childhood Networks. We have 17 regional networks across the state and have just implemented 4 new statewide networks that are virtual and specifically designed for different types of early childhood educators. So those are a great way for infant toddler teachers or preschool teachers, center directors, or family childcare homeowners to connect with others in the same role network through regularly scheduled meetings, professional development trainings, and other relevant activities. They are knee-deep in professional development in 2025 and have so many wonderful trainings coming. And while they might be prioritized to the early childhood networks, if there is additional space available, they do get opened up, but it is your best bet to get involved in an early childhood network in order to participate in professional development offerings coming up, like Conscious Discipline or Little Makers is a fun one that's coming up. Some art activities with our youngest kiddos. All right, Susan. On our website, you'll see a map of where all of those 17 networks are located. You're welcome to be a part of more than one or choose the one that's closest to you. Doesn't necessarily need to be in the county that you live in. If you're on a border and are closer to one versus the other, that's completely up to you which group or how many groups you participate in. And then the new virtual groups. There's information on the website of when each of those meet and who your network facilitators are if you're interested in joining the next one of those. An extra note on professional development, we're always looking for more feedback from the field. We hear it on multiple levels from different forums, and our current content focus areas are listed here. I think all of our staff have so many great ideas and connections to wonderful speakers and professional development opportunities. So continue to share your feedback with either your QSS or with us personally about areas that you're looking for support in. As a membership organization, Vermont AEYC offers our members priority registration for big professional development opportunities like our annual conference. So last year in October, we held our annual conference in Killington. We had over 400 early childhood educators and 2 full days of sessions. Coming up in October of 2025, our annual conference is scheduled in Burlington this year, and more information about that will be available soon on our website. So keep your eyes open for priority registration information to come out about that. And again, those early childhood networks for priority access to regional one-day offerings, or you could work with your quality support specialist for domain-specific trainings. Right, we're getting close to the end. How am I doing on time? We're doing good. All right. So your Vermont AEYC membership is a dual membership with our national organization that you actually become a NAEYC member and choose your state affiliate. So you get that dual NAEYC Vermont AEYC membership. And it's open to anyone who cares about the education and well-being of young children. There are a lot of benefits to being a member. We talked about that priority registration. We talked about networking with your peers, both across Vermont and nationally. You have access to interest forum, daily digest through NAEYC. There's so much online content, digital resources that would support you in curriculum development, templates for various budgeting, curriculum, you name it. There are so many on there. They also do a lot of publications, so a quarterly young child magazine, and then they also do textbook type publications as well. NAEYC also offers a variety of benefit opportunities that may or may not work for specific individuals or programs, but they're absolutely worth checking out. And I would say the biggest benefit of being a member of Vermont AEYC is that you get to be here with us today. You're participating in the advocacy efforts that are led by our workforce to get to the legislature and continue to advance the profession of early childhood. By being a member, you're able to attend annual meetings, member breakfasts, different events that are held for members specifically, and you're able to share your voice, share your stories, advocate for the staff in your program, share barriers that you're experiencing. It allows us to hear those stories and take it to the next level, share it with legislature, and continue to advocate for our field. Right. We'll wrap it up with a reminder about our partner organizations, our Northern Lights Resource Advisors, who are there to help you with career pathway supports, professional development plans, and accessing your BFIS account. They have an extensive training calendar with every topic you could imagine, and that's growing every day. They will support you in your career ladder and credentialing journey. They offer communities of practice and so much more. We also partner with First Children's Finance for a project called Shared Services Vermont. And I should have put a link on here to get you to Shared Services Vermont to create an account. If we have a follow-up from this, we can do that. Or while Beth's talking, I'll work on that and get it in the chat when I'm done my portion here. But it's free to create an account, and then you gain access to business resources and trainings through First Children's Finance, grant and project planning, templates and toolkits, and so much more. We're currently working on a project to build out a recruitment and retention resource bank that will be available as a toolkit and housed in Shared Services Vermont. So coming later in the year, that will, as we continue to hold these presentations, gather feedback from all of you about what the biggest barriers and challenges are, continue to build those resources and make them accessible to you. Right. That just about wraps it up for me. I have not had a chance to go back through the chat, but I kind of see that Beth was able to respond to people as they came through. So thank you, Beth. And as we wrap up my section and go to Beth for the end of our time together, I'm curious if you could put in the chat to just think about 1 or 2 words that describe how you're feeling now or maybe any information that's still missing for you about accessing these resources that you need to take the next step along your career pathway. So feel free to put that in the chat. If your program has a desire to share this presentation, these career support resources in a presentation with your staff in your program, I do offer that. I also offer it as a presentation that's available for professional development credit. So that's a QR code that will take you to my Calendly, and you can schedule a 30-minute in-person visit. I'll come to you. I've been doing a lot of outreach to centers across the state and would be happy to come visit with you, bring you all the goodies, all the pamphlets that you can share with your staff about these resources. So thank you for sharing in the chat. And we've got one more poll that Beth's going to pop up for you. How likely are you to access one or more of these resources in the near future, or to share with your colleagues or staff in your program to support them in reaching their career advancement goals? And this just helps us continue to gather data and make real-time adjustments to the presentations and resources that we're sharing. So I thank you for your time.
Sharing the results of that poll. Sounds like most folks are ready to share this immediately. We will make this recording available to you all so you can share that with staff, or like Sarah said, she is willing to come anywhere in the state and provide this presentation for staff for PD credit. I see one person might need a little more info before sharing with colleagues or staff. So again, call us, reach out to Sarah. The other thing that Sarah does is that she creates a warm handoff to program specific specialists or managers. So I've seen a couple of really specific questions about student loan repayment assistance program. And we have two folks on that team that Sarah can connect you with, or I can connect you with, who can work through your individual situations and provide guidance on that. We're ready for the next one, Susan. So if you are inspired to get involved after today's presentation or the roundtables that you may have attended in the past, we have options for you. Most of the programs that Sarah just talked with you about are funded through the CDD, so they utilize state funding to operate. We do have a couple of programs that are also funded philanthropically through private donors, but most of them are CDD sponsored programs. We are co-branding a legislative agenda with Let's Grow Kids this year, and a big part of that agenda is to make sure that these programs continue to be robustly resourced and supported, and that the legislature continues to make these investments that they have already committed to support the early childhood education profession. So we will be doing that. Throughout the legislative session, we will be hosting monthly roundtables. So you can see that schedule there, second Tuesday of the month, 12:30 to 1:15. The content of those roundtables is mostly around legislative agenda updates and the Office for Professional Recognitions reports and the legislative bill that we expect will come out of that report for the ECE profession. But if you think of other topics that you think should be covered in those roundtables, please shoot us an email, let us know what's on your mind. And And then also be sure to sign up to receive the ECE Profession newsletter. You're going to see this QR code again on the next slide, but this is the QR code that brings you to our website, our web page, where you can click off all of the newsletters that you want to receive. So we have a Sparks specific newsletter that goes out on a monthly basis, a general e-news, the ECE Profession newsletter goes out when there are updates, and then we also have a networks newsletter. And then finally, if you have a story to share, so many of you answered that first poll question around whether you have staff or you know of colleagues who are experiencing challenges with capacity and staff qualifications and being able to serve all of the families on your wait list because of that. Share those stories with us, please. That is one of the roles that we can fill in these advocacy efforts, is elevating your voices and making sure that the legislature and other change makers hear when something's not working and something needs, more investment or more attention. So please, my email is there. Feel free to reach out with stories you're willing to share publicly, and any other ideas that you have for us. Susan? We can't hear you, Susan.
Mute there we go. I think looks like we're done early. Unless there were questions, Beth, that you saw in the chat that you want to highlight, or if there are other topics that either of you want to address.
Just catching up now. It looks like Sarah's going to work with Allison to schedule a presentation for her staff. Answered a question about resource advisor at Northern Lights. If there are any other questions or feedback folks would like to offer now, we've got a little bit of time to answer questions.
That almost never happens, right?
Well, you have our
I'll just add, we participate in quite a few of these programs, so we're very familiar. Right on up from, we have a student in the technical center locally to the teach, to the apprenticeship program. So we're very familiar, and very thankful. So just wanted to add that.
Thanks
I
so
see
much.
Jenny nodding. She must have a similar experience.
We'll take stories about successes too. Those are
Mhm.
always great to have. One of the things that we're working on currently is looking ahead to the FY26 budget. And we right now have a waiting list of folks in the youth apprenticeship program. So collecting those stories about the impact of those programs on staffing and childcare programs and the ability to serve the state's children and families, that is really impactful. So again, good or bad, if you have a story to share that you're willing to share publicly, please reach out to me. I'd really appreciate that.
Well, and we have 3 centers, and there is involvement at all 3 centers in different ways through these. So if you ever need a story, you could certainly reach out to us too.
Thank
Sounds
you,
like a
Sue.
great resource. And Allison has something in the chat. We had a youth apprentice a few years ago. She says, and she still works for us. We would love to have more. That seems like it's quite a success story. I know I only have a little slice of that, less than you, Sarah, you and Beth do, but in working with Kim Freeman, who's in the Bennington area, and just how excited her students are. It helps to answer that question of, how are we going to attract new folks to this profession? And it sounds like there's some of that already starting to bubble up in a really exciting way.
Do you guys ever work with the college systems? Like, for instance, we just started, we are hosting 2 college students from Castleton here at our infant center for early childhood education. I didn't know if there's like a program that relates, the college students with early childhood profession, VTAEYC, all that?
Yeah, so right now, it's glad you said that, Jenny. The same grant that is supporting Sarah's position and some of the advancing work is also being used to conduct a higher education landscape analysis. So many of you folks know Heather Duhamel through one way or another, and she is working with us part-time. She's actually wrapping up that higher ed landscape analysis now and preparing, synthesizing all of her findings and preparing recommendations to start presenting to the ELD committee, to the Planning and Professional Development Committee and other stakeholder groups. Because she has identified some real opportunities in our higher ed system, some challenges, right? And some opportunities for investment and intervention. One of the things that we've come to learn is that many of our small programs around the state, they're very specific, right? Vermont SU is the only online program. CCV is very specific to the associate's degree. It's interesting to see the trends that have been identified in matriculation between CCV and a 4-year program. We know that the Champlain graduate program was ended a couple of years ago. And what we're finding is that the success and really just even the fact that these programs are available in these institutions rely on 1 or 2 specific faculty. And so we're now looking at how can we support those faculty or recruiting early ed, higher ed faculty to make sure that when folks are interested in this field, that they have stable career pathways within the state. So we don't have a specific program. We do advertise, Heather will let us know if there are openings in her classes and we'll advertise those. We've done that on socials and in our newsletters, but kind of behind the scenes, we're looking at that whole system.
Great, that's exciting. Thank you.
Other questions or comments or stories that people would like to share? We have just about 6 minutes left. While you're thinking, I'll make the comment that I always like hearing this piece about the career ladder and getting those certificates. And it was exciting to me in reading OPR's, the Office of Professional Regulation, their report and their recommendations. They did push forward the one that we had recommended, which was to build on career ladder certificates so that if someone had, you may have heard me say this before, for example, a career ladder 3B, and maybe their degree was in an unrelated program, but we're suggesting that that be honored as they go to get their ECE2 license. So that's still something that's really important for people to connect with. Anybody else before we say goodbye? Thank you all so much for coming and joining us today. It's been great to have the opportunity. And I learned, Sarah, your package of the way you took us through all those different pieces was really wonderful. That was helpful to me. So thank you. We'll say goodbye. Stay in touch.